This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for Wednesday, the 4th of September. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. Okay. Last week I wrote a post looking at election Septembers and concluding that generally speaking they performed rather poorly, and the best we could reasonably hope for on the history since 2000 would be a slight increase. Over that time it's delivered I think 4 out of 6 reductions, some of them pretty significant. So anyway, I've been watching the topping setup coming into this week. I was hoping it would go up a little further, and I'm still thinking it might. I was hoping to see the retest on ES and SPX. We didn't quite see that. I was noting on Monday morning the little double tops here. This double top on SPX is broken down and ES is broken down, and you see where the rally high was today. It was at broken double top support. This is not encouraging for the bulls. This is suggesting that we're going to head off down to the target, and I've got that target somewhat below the monthly pivot at 54.83, and I've got that in about the 54.55 area. I'm thinking we may well see that tomorrow. We did have some weak 60-minute buy signals fixed this morning. Might go a little higher, but I got to say that's a pretty nice area to be seeing as the high, and an obvious place to go to if it was going to come back down. We will see. We're not going to get any RSI 5 positive divergence. This hasn't come down far enough to deliver that on the daily chart. So really, I'm just looking at the hourly charts where the rally here is too strong to retest this and turn it into a full buy signal. On NQ, we didn't get a buy signal. Again, almost back to the lows, weaker, whereas NQ has been weaker in recent weeks. RTY, weak 60-minute buy signal fixed again, hasn't reached the possible near miss target. Rally has almost been entirely given back over the afternoon. And on Dow, again, we had a decent rally, and much of that has already been given back. I'm leaning towards it going a bit lower. We didn't quite make the double top target on Dow, and we didn't make the one on ES either. Looking at DAX and ESDX, again, testing the weekly pivot at the lows here. Nice rally, and has given at least half of it back, and ESTX has given all of it back and actually made a lower low. It's this one here. Actually, I do have a full size buy signal brewing, mainly because the rally today was much weaker. And if we retest the low on DAX, we could get one there. These are not, however, where I tend to look for market leadership. So that would be interesting without necessarily being particularly important. All right, let's have a look at ES. Now, ES has made the possible near miss target on the RSI 5 sell signal, and on SPX, it's also made it. This means I'm now disregarding the daily RSI 5 sell signals. We also made it back to test the daily middle band. We closed at 55.20 with the daily middle band at 55.17. So we closed very slightly above it. That's not particularly strong, but it's not a break below the daily middle band either. So if we are going to break the band, we're going to need to do that tomorrow, and then we're going to need to convert it after that, because we did not get a break at the end of the day today. In terms of ES, that closed very slightly below it, but I would be watching for leadership for SPX. They always got to remember ES is the tail, SPX is the dog. So I'll always take the SPX one over that. Looking at the pivots, we obviously failed to hold on to the weekly pivot for too long this week, and the monthly pivot at 54.73 is coming into view. I would note that that's actually not far away from the target. Let's actually have a quick look at that. In terms of the target on this double top, let's have a look and see where exactly that would be. I've done it on ES, but I haven't done it on SPX yet. Now here we had an almost perfect little double top. We do not have 2 targets, we've only got 1. And that target is, hang on, in about the 54.60 area. Now let's just, I'll just hang on, I'll just work that out. It's basically 89 points. Well, closer to 90 actually. So actually, I've got that in about the 55.70 area. Okay, so that's the 55.70 area. Um, if you're thinking that seems rather close to the monthly pivot, well, that's because it is. So we would be going somewhat below the monthly pivot on ES to get there, but we'd be to hit this target, but we'd pretty much exactly hitting the one on SPX. And as I said, the SPX is the one I would generally take as the main one. So I think that's a very credible looking target, and I'm thinking we may well reach that tomorrow. Now, is this a double top on the bigger picture? Not really. I mean, this could be a triangle for me. We could have a move up here, lower high here, higher low here, over here. We could have a triangle forming, which would ultimately resolve upwards, but could take us down in particular and potentially into the 5150 to 5200 area. I would be thinking about that. We obviously lost. Hang on, we lost. I think did we lose the 50 DMA? Sorry, wrong chart for that. 50 DMA, no, we held that just about today, but it was only just about. It's I think it wouldn't surprise me to see that lost, and obviously we are testing the daily middle band pretty hard. Now moving on to NDX. NDX lost the daily middle band, and actually lost the weekly middle band too. Which normally would be lower. It's but we lost the daily middle band. We are significantly below it. We traded the entire day below it. So we've lost that. We didn't have any negative divergence here. On the daily chart, just looking at it, we're below the monthly pivot and below the weekly pivot. NDX has been leading to the downside for a while now. If we retest this low, we could set up a positive divergence on the hourly chart. But at the moment, there's nothing to suggest this isn't going to go a bit lower. In terms of the obvious bull flag structure here, if this was a bull flag, we've gone below it. So I'm leaning towards seeing at least some more downside. And I'd like to see some buy signals forming up the lows. In terms of Dow, we almost had an RSI 5 sell signal here, and I thought we did have one, but actually these two highs are at the same level. So we lost the divergence and we didn't get a signal. That would be pointing us lower, but obviously isn't because we didn't get a signal. I am looking at the potentially at the daily middle band as a target. I've got that at 45.48, and that might be a decent match with SPX if SPX is going to go to the monthly pivot. Nice looking support if we get there. Dow has obviously been leading to the upside lately. In terms of the hourly chart, we've still got an old RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and that's still no closer to target. There are a couple of options for possible patterns forming here. Could be forming around head and shoulders, right shoulder, for instance. Or this could be just a bit sloppy as a double top. But if it is a double top, we've broken down slightly, and a move lower would be looking for a target in about the 40.2 area. So down here. We could see that, but I'd be watching the support here in about the 40.6k area and see. All right, let's have a look at IWM. IWM, on the daily chart, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed, which still hasn't made target. We didn't get an RSI 5 sell signal. I was hoping to get one with a retest of the short-term high, but we didn't. In terms of the, sorry, hang on 1 second. In terms of the the hourly chart, the sell signal we had here, this failed a while back, but this could easily be an overall bull flag forming. I don't have any parallel trend lines, so it's not an obvious classical flag channel, but I am wondering if we're forming a flag or a triangle. A flag would have a next low below this low at 196.70, and a triangle could have it above, and we've got a potential triangle support trend line in about the 198 area. I think there is most definitely scope to go significantly lower here, but ideally we'd see a pullback and maybe see a retest of this high here and then pull back some more. We will see how that goes. On the 15-minute, no divergence worth to mention. Now, a couple of things to mention here. I was saying that we could get some really big bearish patterns here, and I'm going to show you the ones where we did get them. But obviously we need to have a quick look at the ones where we didn't get them. DAX was a prime candidate. We retested the high here. We fell very shortly afterwards. We have a beautiful double top with support at 17,000 that could potentially get us down to about 15,000. This is a big pattern and could reverse most of the gains made since June last year, July last year. It's been a very impressive move. No, that would have been the low in October. So that's an impressive move. I'm not really expecting to see it, but I'm noting that it is there in the event that the market gets really excited. In terms of Nikkei, we didn't retest the high here. We'd gone a lot lower first. This is a big spike down. We don't have an obvious major topping pattern here, and at the moment we're testing the daily middle band of support, and I think we closed slightly below it. 37,430. Yeah, we did. So leaning bearish on it, but we don't really have a pattern for it. So we've got the DAX one, and we've also got Dow. Let's have a look at that. Right, on the Dow chart, we've got this beautiful double top, and with support in the 38.5K area. I think I've got that on. Yeah, okay, I've got the main one drawn here. So I've got support there at 38.5K. We've got highs here at 41.4, 41.6. So we'd have two very close targets there, but basically call it 3,000 down. We'd basically have a target at 35.5K. That would be a big move if we were to see it. I'm skeptical about seeing, but I would say that if we were going to get back into this rising support trend line, then that's in the right kind of area for it. So I'm not discounting it altogether. But what I would say is, if we do a higher high after this one, we can make the retest on SPX. That would make the pattern look a lot better there. This could be a double top already, but normally with this sort of setup, I'd be looking for a flag or a triangle. If we can make the retest of the all-time high, which I was hoping to see, then that could make the next couple of months a lot more interesting. Otherwise, my working assumption would be that we would be working on the expanded bull flag, having already had this one, of course, which is broken up and not yet made the target at the retest of the high. So we shall see. All right, great. Moving on to energies.
This conference will now be recorded.
Right, moving on to oil. Now, I've been warning for weeks that we've got this triangle here, and the triangle might break down. I warned when we were up here that we were at a resistance trend line where if we held it, then it could take us back to here, which it did. And then I said this likely confirmed a triangle, which normally would break down into a retest to this low. We have now broken down. It is now back in the 60s. The low is at 63.57, and I think it is a reasonable expectation it is going to make that target. On the way, we've also got a target at 67.71. This was a nice looking IHS, and it took a long, long time to fail. It held at this low, it held at this low, it held at this low, and it's broken at this one. That has a target back at 67.71. The triangle's really got a minimum target back at 63.57. Let's have a look at that on the bigger picture. On the bigger picture, you can see that if we go back and retest 63.37, 57. Yes, 57. Then that's basically $32 below this, below this level at 95. And of course, if you look at it relative to 130.50, this actually isn't that far away from the 50% retracement. You can see it reached up to about 45. This would make it a really, really nice second low of a double bottom if we go back and test that, and potentially set up a pattern to take us all the way back up again. Watching this with great interest. Now, nat gas, we had a potential inverted head and shoulders forming here. That really didn't happen. And again, we've got a triangle here, but this is not as well formed a triangle as the oil one, but it is basically just a triangle as the way price has been, rather than a triangle which is formed really in a fairly classical way, which is this one has, because you've got so A, B, C, D, E. Yeah, this would be A, B, C, D, E, partial wave, and breakdown. That is a classic triangle. And it's broken bearishly, and that's the way you would expect it to be. It would be a continuation pattern. So in essence, a type of flag. Looking at this one, this is much less certain. It could be starting from here. I mean, we need a really. The problem is we're really missing a wave up here. That third hit that I was warning needed to break. Otherwise, we might well be forming a triangle. We haven't seen that on NG, so this isn't necessarily ready to break down. We might see a decent rally before it did that. It might continue forming for another 3 or 4 months. But what I would say is, if we see a breakdown below this rising support, which I've got now at about the 1.95 area, then I think we may well be looking at a retest of this low here at 1.522. And that, I think, would be a reasonable expectation to see because, again, we've seen a big move down and we would be setting up the second low of a double bottom. That would be quite a sizable double bottom, a sustained break after that over 3.643. Would then look for a target in about the 5.8 area. And at the moment, we don't really have a decent reversal pattern. We kind of got one which would just about do. This would give us a good one. So I'm leaning towards that, but I'm thinking this isn't necessarily going to go with oil. It's tempting to think so, given that we've got 2 triangles, but this triangle is at an earlier stage, and actually, of course, also hasn't broken down yet. So watching that with interest, and we will see. No divergence in either of those. Looking at the short term, this is just pure breakdown. No current positive divergence on oil. On NG, we've been seeing a bit of a rally here, but it looks an awful lot like a bear flag forming, albeit a slightly sloppy one. But we will see how that goes. How sloppy is it? It's sloppy. The trend lines aren't clean. It's not clear, but it does look much more like a bear flag than anything else. All right, let's move on to metals. Okay, GC. I was suggesting last week that we might well be seeing a decent rally on the dollar, and we might well see, if we were forming a flag on GC, we may well see a move down to test the monthly pivot 2500 area, and we did that. So this was I was talking about this on Sunday. So and last week I was talking about it in terms of making it down to 2500 area, important psychological level. And this is a good area to reverse. Now, dollar may be reversing. I'm still thinking about that, and I'll come to that after this. But the dollar might be reversing back down again, in which case this flag might be done. We don't have any positive divergence for it. We do have a 60-minute buy signal fixed on silver. This has come down further and pretty much made it to the first of the double top targets. So we could be done to the downside there. If we can see a break up over this declining resistance in the 29.3 area, I'd be liking the upside. It needs to break up and convert the monthly pivot as well. If that's the case, this could resume the uptrend. HG, we've seen a hard breakdown here. We had a head and shoulders. It's pretty much made the target there too. And we've got a very nice 60-minute buy signal fixed. Again, this is an opportunity, A, for a rally, but 2, for a full reversal if the dollar is going to fail. Let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. Right. Okay, let's have a look at GC. GC, no current divergence, testing the daily middle band and holding it so far. This would be a good level to find support. Silver, we had an RSI 5 sell signal fixed there, and that has now made target. We're back below the daily middle band, and we've confirmed with a second day below it today. So, but that could be reversed by another break above. Watching to see that with interest. If that's not going to happen, then we could see more downside, but that could also give us the potential for a buy signal to form. Looking at the palladium chart, what is there to say about palladium? It's trading sideways in a formless manner at the moment. It's just about holding on to the daily middle band, closed below it today, but no really serious sign of weakness there yet. That is most definitely unlike platinum. Platinum has come back and come all the way back to retest this low. Now, I did mention that this might be a flag and that we might have to head down to this trend line here. And we're not that far away from it, and I'm wondering if we're going to reach it. I've got that in about the 890 area. Looking at copper, we had a weak RSI 14 buy signal fixed, and we had an RSI 5 buy signal fixed. The RSI 5 buy signals made target. We've come back a bit here. Now, in terms of a reversal pattern here, I'm not really seeing one, but we could get one with a retest of this low. So I'm wondering if it might retest the low, but there's no absolute need for it to do that. Could this be an IHS? It would be a very, very ugly IHS if we did see it. But I am encouraged, and I do think that we've got a potential for a low here, and I will be coming to the dollar next after I've done metals, and we will have a look at that. GDX, not really a lot to see here. There's a potential level top. We've got a similar one on GDXJ. These are nowhere near breaking down. And in the absence of a really big dollar rally, I wouldn't really expect them to. In terms of the hourly charts, bit of positive divergence on GDX and some positive divergence on GDXJ as well. Both of those are leaning short-term bullish. I have to say, looking at the bigger picture, I'm quite liking that too. All right, let's have a look at DX. Right, DX. We're stalled here. We've got a nice looking IHS. It has broken up. And it hasn't failed yet, but it's really thinking about it. I've got the failure level at about 101.63, and it almost did that today. If that breaks, then I would be looking for a retest the low. And if it's going to retest the low, we may just head lower directly. Looking at bonds, ZB, I've actually been looking at this, and I think this is an overall triangle. And not a bad one, actually. A, B, C, D, E, a bit sloppy at the end here, but that would be D, and this would be the E wave, and this would be a break up. If that's the case, and I think regardless, I think this action is suggesting that it's going to go to the obvious target for that, which is the retest of this high here at 126.28. All right, let's have a look at both of those on the big picture. Okay, DX. We've got an RSI 14 buy signal fix, and we've got an RSI 5 buy signal that's reached a possible near miss target. You quite often see these fix both at the same time, and quite often you will see a significant reversal or a major, or sometimes a serious move lower after the smaller signal makes target. And this one has pretty much made target. Where has it made target? Well, it's made it at the daily middle band, and that's holding as resistance. And actually, that's a pretty good level to find resistance. And this is the index chart. You can see a lot of resistance there too. Now we could break up over that, but at the moment it's looking as though it might fail there. Watching tomorrow for indicators. If we go up and we can get up over the daily middle band, then the upside has a shot. If it can't, then we may well be reversing back down, and there is potentially a long way down to go. We've got back over 101 here, but if you look at my bigger picture chart of what I've been looking for, from 2022, when we made this high, I was saying the obvious next target would be this trend line here. Now it's moved quite a bit since then. I mean, that was in the 80, that was in the 91 area then. It's now in about the 95 area, but it's the same target. We're testing the 200-week moving average as support. We're finding a little bit of support there. We've had a bit of a rally, but as and when, I'm expecting it to reverse back down and head to this target. Now, it's taken a couple of years to get to this point. It might take another year to get there. But equally, it can make it an awful lot sooner than that. And I'm not really seeing an awful lot of reason to think that it won't. Okay, let's have a look at, just to mention the euro. We're pulling back, but I've a bigger picture. The target is, minimum target is a retest of 1.1276. It's another triangle, and quite a good one. And watching this for quite a while, it's broken up. It hasn't made target yet. I'm expecting the dollar to go down at least enough to allow this to make a target. USD JPY, less certain, but I'm not looking for a double bottom here and a full reversal up. If we see retest this low and find a lot of support there, maybe. But even then, this is only 7% of the US dollar index, and sometimes it pursues a fairly independent path. Okay, looking at the hourly chart on TNX, this is leaning towards seeing a retest of the low, which would be the retest of that high on ZB, and that would be a very good potential reversal setup, which might deliver a decent bounce. We will see, but it would set up at least a nice pattern, and then potentially it would set up some pretty nice positive divergence on the daily RSI 14. We will see how that goes. These sell signals and buy signals on RSI 14, haven't seen many buy ones lately, but sell signals, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of them failed. Buy signals, we haven't had any lately, but certainly not too late to go on. But that's mainly because we've not really had that many declines. Mostly this has been an upward trend. We haven't really had enough to work with to get a bicycle. I'm quite liking this as a support level. I'd quite like to see a bit of a rally here. Don't know how far it would get, and I don't have a really strong opinion on how far that would get. All right, great. Let's have a look at the other commodities.
This conference will now be recorded.
Right, coffee. This still looks very, very much like a bull flag. We haven't broken over bull flag resistance, now in the 245 area, but as and when we do, I'm expecting to see a retest of this high here in the 259 area. SB, this is having a crisis of confidence about breaking up towards this target here in the 20.4 to 20.6 area, I think, approximately. This could be a head and shoulder pattern forming to reverse much of the move and get us back to about the 18 area. 60-minute sell signal has reached possible near miss target though, so it's not going to get any support from that. CC looks as though it's heading down towards this target here. I actually drew this head and shoulders here. I wonder what happened to it. Never mind. But I think the correct head and shoulder neckline, I was talking about this on the pre-market webinar this morning, but I think that's the correct one there. For some reason, my edits didn't save, so I'll have a look at that again tomorrow. But the target basically gets us pretty close to this, and I'm thinking that's probably where we're heading. No current positive divergence, and I've got that target currently in the 66.50 area. All right, let's have a look at ZW. ZW, the grain's been having a bit of a tear here. That well signaled on the early chart, but we've got no negative divergence at the moment. We've reached the last of my potential inverted head and shoulder necklines before we start moving up into this one here in the 613 area. And at the moment, there's no sign of it turning around, so we will see. Corn. 60-minute sell signal is fixed and hasn't failed. If there wasn't already one, another one would be brewing here. This has been on a tear. Again, we've gone through all my short-term targets, and I'm wondering possibly about this larger IHS neckline in about the 423 area. Impressive move. I have been saying this has been very overdue. But I have to say it would be nice if this was a little better signaled already. But 60-minute sell signal is fixed on soy, has done nothing to it so far, and at the moment the monthly pivot looks converted to support. Again, I'm looking at an inverted shoulder neckline, which should be in about the 1043 area. I wasn't thinking we'd get there, and we still might not, and this could of course be a double top. But I'm quite liking the upside here on grains generally. CT. Nice looking double bottom here, target in about the 75.1 to 75.4 area. Still liking that. This is consolidation. It's been hanging around on the consolidation, but there's no sign of a reversal pattern at the moment. No strong reason to think it isn't going to make that target. Looking at lumber. Lumber, we've seen a breakup, and then we've seen a back test that hasn't come back and retested this low, which I have to say is the obvious target, and I'm thinking it may well need to do that. That could well be the second low of double bottom when it gets there. This does look like a bull flag that is broken up, but it could be evolving into a larger pattern. Live cattle, we were looking at the falling wedge, which is broken down, back tested. Liking the upside here, but I wouldn't note the potential level top here at the moment. But we will see. Lean hogs went higher. 60-minute sell signal is fixed. It's been consolidating sideways while that's been playing out. We do have a double top here, but it's showing no signs of breaking down at the moment. If it did, the target would be in the monthly covered area, 78.85. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. KC. No current divergence. Obviously, we have come quite a long way. We could be looking at a larger reversal soon. No sign of that in terms of on the daily chart, really, though. SB, if we can retest this high here at 19.98, we could set up a possible daily RSI 5 sell signal, but I prefer to see this double bottom play out and it head back into the main double bottom resistance, which is in the 20.78 area. This has been a long move down, and I think this could be because that smaller wedge I showed you was actually part of this larger wedge here, which has taken about a year to form. This should be in the early stages of breaking up, and we already have a reversal pattern. So I'm liking the upside here. Corn, cocoa. I am wondering, I drew this as a triangle. It didn't really do what it should have done in this area to break up. I'm wondering if we might be forming a larger triangle. If so, this may be going to consolidating sideways in effect for quite a while yet. Wheat, we had an RSI 14 and we had an RSI 14 buy signal fix, and that's getting close to the possible near miss target, but hasn't reached it yet. You can see it's gone through the obvious neckline that I drew. I've got another one up here at 615.20. I'm wondering if it might reach it. Looking at corn, RSI 14 buy signal is fixed, not as close to making target, but again, this is the possible neckline in the 43 area, and I'm thinking it might make it. On soy, our weak RSI 14 buy signal fixed, and that is growing great guns. I've got two possible necklines I'm watching here, one at 1042 and another one at 108660. And I'm thinking it may well be going to one or the other. Looking at cotton, we're still on an RSI 14 buy signal, but I would say we had an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. Wondering about some more downside and consolidation, but as long as it's holding the daily middle band, which is currently at 68.97, then I will be liking the upside here. And the bigger picture, with this RSI 14 buy signal, there's no reason to think that it's not going to make target. We might see a bit more consolidation first. Ideally, this would make the possible near miss target, and then it would start going back up again. And that's everything for tonight. Should be an interesting day on the markets tomorrow. I'm leaning towards seeing at least some more downside on the basis of what we've seen today. We'll see how that goes. All right, cheers.